Logan Paul is back in the news in what many people are calling a very successful troll of the mainstream media. Now, to me, this story highlights two important issues. One, that the mainstream media could be manipulated and played like a fiddle. And two, this larger story is really a symptom of celebritard culture, which, by the way, is also being pushed by the mainstream media. Overall, I think what people are saying here is true, that the mainstream media looks bad. And I believe Logan Paul is actually getting a lot of credit for his latest mockumentary or official movie, or what the mainstream media thought was a documentary, which is titled To the Edge and Back, about a controversial topic that we can't even talk about because YouTube picks up their algorithm and picks up everything that is said within the first 2 minutes. And if we mention this thing within the first 2 minutes, automatically this video would most likely get demonetized, downranked, and you probably won't be seeing it. So Jason, let me know when we're over 2 minutes so we could talk about this. Is there like a small segment we could play of this clip here? Because you really have to see it. Maybe fast forward it a little bit when he doesn't say it, just to show you the cinematic kind of trailer aspect of this mockumentary that just came out.
I mean, we can try, but I'm not very confident at all that any of this is going to work out in our favor. Because, you know what? I think it says flat Earth right in the very...
No! Damn it! I can't say it! Whatever. Let's just let this. I mean, screw it. You know what? Screw it, Jason. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going with the story. All right. The mockumentary is called Flat Earth, The Edge and Back. Screw it. We're probably not over 2 minutes, but that's fine.
Let me tell you a story.
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the Flat Earth closet.
That's 11 seconds in.
Yeah. But again, those comments created a media firestorm and a national debate, with literal articles coming out from national publications seriously talking about this, with headlines saying, quote, "Controversial YouTube star brings flat Earth conspiracy theory to new audience, kids." Just utterly fear-mongering and trying to start another debate, trying to create another adpocalypse because of Logan Paul saying those comments at a flat Earth convention. Now it came out that Logan Paul was pretty much trolling the whole time. He was joking. There's a lot of talk about his, how do you say it here? Family-friendly show. His groin region. That's the little clip that we played. He's mainly the little clip we played was him talking about the groin region. And automatically, I think this does show how much egg on the face of mainstream media. And many people are saying that this is comical genius, and he's proving a bigger point here. And I believe it is important to talk about these issues to bring out the larger context, with, again, just how media could be played with just fake evidence, with people making stuff up, vying for attention. Again, the celebritard culture needs to be recognized as people pretty much doing outlandish things to get attention. When they get their attention, they get their followers, they get more clicks, they get more people paying attention to them. And when that happens, they become more popular. This is pretty much the epitome of our kind of celebritard culture, with people just doing controversial things just to get that attention, just to get those clicks. I mean, I remember this even sparked this huge debate. But before we'd even get into this debate with YouTube and censorship and flat Earth and all that, I got to say here, Jason, Logan Paul is very happy with this. You could see that, again, people are very, happy that this happened, and they're cheering him on for this larger troll of what they're calling. What's your take on it?
First of all, I've never watched a Logan, or I forget what the other guy's name's, Paul video ever. I've only seen him in headlines. It's not my cup of tea. But from what I saw, we watched, 4 minutes of it? It was very obviously a mockumentary, one. Number two, it was kind of funny. It reminded me of movies like Best in Show, which I actually enjoy. Here's my problem. Why is this getting so much attention? Not Logan Paul himself, but the subject of FE.
We already said it.
We've already said it. Flat Earth.
Are we gonna bleep it? Are we gonna have to bleep Flat Earth?
I don't think we're bleeping it. I just want to say this. when we were, entrenched in trying to get accountability for the Iraq War, trying to get the truth about 9/11, trying to get the truth out there about Barack Obama before he took the presidency in 2008, I remember, I was very much behind Cynthia McKinney and her Green Party run at the time. All of a sudden, Flat Earth comes out of nowhere. It was almost a joke that you would talk about where
Around
it's like,
what year was this?
I'd say right around 2008, 2009, it started to sprout up a little bit on YouTube, right? And then by 2012, the thing had caught fire to the point where now it's showing up in your feed. And this is before they changed the algorithm. And it would show up in your feed with other things like dinosaurs didn't exist and a lot of things that are extremely questionable. And believe me, folks, I question everything. But now, you can't open up a newspaper. You can't go on a large news website with some kind of coverage of the flat earth. Why? It reminds me also of when 9/11 truth was catching fire and they had to change everything to make you a truther, a 9/11 denier. All of a sudden you were a no-planer. They would talk about how the attacks never even happened. They tried to associate it with CGI, that nobody died on 9/11, things like that. People would say the most outlandish things, and then the mainstream media would repeat those talking points. And now you have prominent sports figures talking about the flat earth as a reality.
Kyrie Irving, wasn't it also Shaquille O'Neal, the Freemason, talking about it? Or I might be wrong on that.
No,
one.
you're right. Shaq said it, and then he kind of joked about it later. Kyrie Irving did a lot of tweeting about it. I know that Russell Westbrook has talked about some theories out there. And listen, I want an open conversation, but when these guys are talking about legitimate things like government corruption and 9/11 truth, you know what doesn't need to be mixed in that? Johnny nonsense like flat earth. It only hurts all of us. And when you buy into things like that, like there's flat earth conferences, for Christ's sake. A conference for that. That's mind-blowing to me. It is absolutely mind-blowing. We have to understand there is a certain amount of discernment people need when they are presented with evidence, supposed evidence, that all of space is CGI. Everything we've seen from NASA and every other space organization is fake. That's just not the case. I'm not telling you they tell the truth all the time, but I am telling you there is enough evidence out there that, guess what? Space exists. And that's the new one, Luke. People are trying to say that space doesn't even exist. It's not real.
Well, who knows, Jason? Well, again, the theory that you're talking about is, of course, the turd in the punch bowl theory. You have a nice punch bowl, you have a nice punch, and then someone just takes a crap in it and destroys this entire punch. It's pretty much the description of what you said of like a psyop, a psychological operation, kind of a false flag with ideas. And I'm happy you brought up the aspect of no planers, 9/11 deniers, truthers, because those are all kind of very scripted words used against 9/11 victims' family members, 9/11 rescue workers, 9/11 survivors, government whistleblowers, really serious people who came forward and said, hey, this was a horrible event that happened on American soil. We need to make sure it never happens again, and we need to hold our government accountable. And our government has been lying. Our government failed. Our government has been corrupted, and we need a change. And guess what? The mainstream media, you know what they did? Slandered those people, and again, brought out these talking points. And it is interesting to see this flat earth everywhere. Everyone's talking about it when there's so many other, again, to me, the bigger point is whether we are or aren't, like, I still don't understand the bigger context here. And again, some people may call me ignorant or whatever. That's your own point of view. But there's so many other issues that I think we would have to deal with civilization before we get into this question of that again, doesn't really change anything, doesn't have any larger ramifications. Now, the specific debates, the specific conversations with 9/11 that we had about the air quality, about the people who were told that the air was safe to breathe when the government knew it wasn't, when they lied, those were concrete, real ideas. When the family members came together and said, hey, the 9/11 commission being held up with Henry Kissinger and his ties to Saudi Arabia, we don't want that to happen. That was a real discussion. When you talked about, hey, the government failed and didn't adhere to these, that was a real discussion. They didn't want to have real discussion. They didn't want to do any of that. They'll just point you with a dirty word. And this is what other people have come to the conclusion of, that even the term conspiracy theory itself, or conspiracy theorist, was a psychological operation by the intelligence agencies, especially after JFK, to discredit anyone questioning the government's official version. And this is the kind of dirty words, these are the kind of dirty techniques, and we do have to understand that there are honeypots out there. There are psych operations out there that are meant to foment division, that are meant to put you along a certain train of thinking. Just like we talked about earlier in the video, Twitter was even openly talking about how they want to control how people, their mindsets. This is exactly what not only private corporations do, but also governments do. We even saw Cass Sunstein, Obama's information czar, former information czar, talk about how he wants to sow division and destroy people trying to hold the government accountable for 9/11. With, of course, infiltrating them and spewing crazy ideas and dividing and conquering. And this is our own government handbook written by a government agent. Barack Obama's information czar talking about how we need to destroy the 9/11 truth movement. And they have effectively, and they have sowed divisions. And I believe this topic is a part of that sowing of this larger division. That's my take on it. I might be wrong, but what do you think, Jason? Anything else you want to add on this specific topic?
Yeah, I definitely do, because when you look at headlines like this, YouTube promises to stop recommending flat earth and 9/11 truther videos. You tell me what a documentary that I made that shows Joe Biden lying about the ISI connection to 9/11, film
Yeah, that I confronted him on. I confronted Joe Biden on that. Yeah. I was one-on-one with Joe Biden, asking him serious questions. Again, oh yeah, you're not a denier, you crazy, dirty truther. How dare you catch politicians in a lie? Sorry, Jason, I cut you off. Go ahead.
You know, to have Bo Dietl talking about John O'Neill and what he was doing on 9/11 and his security research, to have Ray McGovern, a former CIA analyst for 20 plus years in there, and that's being compared to flat earth? That's absolutely ridiculous. Again, it's trying to get everything to be generalized and people to think that this is all one and the same thing, and then tell you that it's poisoning you and your children and your friends and your family, and you don't deserve to even hear it.
I had a high-level government security psychological operations guy before tell me face-to-face, the biggest weapon you have is your mind. And if they can control the way you think, the way you perceive perception, they got you. This is why governments employ troll farms. This is why they have sock puppet accounts. This is why they buy fake likes and have fake engagement online to give you the perception that a certain idea, that a certain government agency, that a certain policy is good and another policy is bad. There's literal government agents who are paid by your taxes in the United States, in Israel, to specifically put out disinformation out there to confuse people. This is legitimate. And we have to understand this bigger context when we're dealing with this celebritard culture, promotion, and destruction of discourse that prevents real solutions from solving the actual problems that we are dealing with in this earth. That's our take on it. If you agree with that, share with this video. My last point, maybe we could play, I don't know, we probably shouldn't play any more clips of the Logan Paul thing. But again, the last point I wanted to leave here is that Logan Paul, young man, smart young man, because he's doing everything marketing-wise, and the media is falling for it. And he's really happy because all the attention is on him, and we're even talking about him, Jason. So anything else you want to say before closing it off, Jason?
No, that's about it, brother.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, 3 videos every day on the backup channel, 1 video on the main channel. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.